Part 2. The timeline that shouldn't exist. By the time investigators realized the story didn't add up, they knew one thing for certain. If this woman truly vanished, it didn't happen the way they were told. With no surveillance footage showing her leaving the neighborhood, detectives shifted their focus backward, away from the alleged disappearance and toward the 24 hours before it. They needed to reconstruct the timeline, and almost immediately, that timeline began to fracture. The couple had recently returned from a family visit out of state. According to the husband, the trip was routine. Nothing unusual, nothing worth mentioning. Just a drive home, a quiet night. And then she left. But routine trips leave trails. Gas stations, rest stops, traffic cameras, and modern investigations don't rely on memory. They rely on footage. When detectives tracked the vehicle's route, they found it appearing on multiple cameras along the highway. The car stopped for fuel. It stopped for food. It stopped to rest. But at every single stop, only one person ever exited the vehicle: the husband. No footage confirmed his wife stepped out of the car. No footage showed her inside a store. No footage showed her walking beside him. In fact, investigators were never able to confirm that she completed the drive at all. The last confirmed sighting of her came hundreds of miles away, more than a full day earlier, captured on a residential security camera outside a family home. The timestamp was clear, the image was clear, she was alive. And after that moment, her digital footprint vanished completely. No phone activity, no messages, no location data. It was as if someone had pressed pause on her existence. At this point, detectives began asking a quiet but unavoidable question. If the disappearance didn't happen where it was reported, where did it actually begin? And just as troubling, why report it somewhere else? As investigators dug deeper, another detail surfaced. One that didn't involve cameras or technology, but behavior. The husband never contacted her family, not her parents, not her siblings, not a single close friend. For nearly 2 full days after she was last seen, no one in her life knew anything was wrong. That silence stood out. When people truly believe someone has gone missing, they panic outward. They call everyone, they search everywhere, they beg for help. But this time, help wasn't asked for until long after it should have been. And when her family finally learned she was missing, it wasn't from her husband. It was from the police. That call shattered them, because they believed she was safe, still visiting family, still deciding her next move. And that belief wasn't random. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, she had confided in people close to her. She spoke about fear, about tension, about feeling trapped in a situation she no longer trusted. She had even taken quiet steps to protect herself. Steps investigators would only uncover later. At the time, none of this was public, but detectives were beginning to see a pattern. One they recognized all too well. A story that moved too fast. A report that redirected attention. A timeline that collapsed under scrutiny. And then something happened that forced authorities to look even closer. Just days after the missing person report was filed, police were called back to the husband's home. This time, it wasn't about a disappearance. It was about a weapon. According to the report, a gun had discharged inside the garage under unusual circumstances. The explanation was vague. The details were inconsistent. But the presence of a firearm changed everything, because now investigators had cause to expand the scope of their search. And when they did, they uncovered information that reframed the entire case. Not speculation, not rumor, a documented history. A past that revealed patterns of control, fixation, and behavior investigators had seen before, often in cases that didn't end well. At this point, the question was no longer if something had gone wrong. It was when, and whether the truth had been buried beneath a story that was never meant to hold up. In part 3, investigators turned their attention to the one place she was last seen alive. And what they searched for there suggests they were no longer looking for a missing person. They were looking for answers they feared might already be permanent. End of part 2, Call to Action. If you're following this case, subscribe to The Quiet Evidence, because what police uncovered next didn't just change the direction of the investigation. It changed what they were searching for entirely.